All right, you guys ready to get started? Say yes. I just want to make sure you're awake. We're going to go a little bit all over the map tonight. I just need to see a show of hands. Who here is an MSP? Just raise your hands up high if your primary business is MSP. All right, whose primary business is technology advisor, traditional agent, telecom agent? All right, who's a business owner? Raise your hands high. Good business owners. Whose primary position is marketing? Maybe if you're a business owner, your hand just keeps going up. You're like, Tim, I'm all these things, right? So tonight what I did is I prepared just a big slide deck, 144 slides. Okay? I'm kidding. There's 55. I'm going to go fast, but because of where you're at and who I saw in the audience, I'm going to try to tailor it just for you. All right? But first, we're going to go backwards before we go forwards. I'm celebrating my 32nd anniversary in this business this year. Who in the room, just by a show of hands, has been in the business longer than me? Is there one person? You? How long? Just out of curiosity. 100 years. It's okay, just say it.
20 years with AT&T, retired 6 years ago.
AT&T. You're going to fit right in with my next joke. Stay tuned. All right, so when I first started, I started right out of college selling long-distance phone service, door-to-door, commission only. I got a woo over there. Commission only. My parents were so proud. All their hopes and dreams of me being a dentist washed out the window, right? Instead, I was selling long distance door-to-door. Back then, for those of you in the room who can remember, I see some of you out in the audience, you know the products were very, very limited. This is kind of how the map looked back then, right? I had 3 different providers that I could broker as part of my long distance brokerage that I worked for, but the market was not what it is today. Few products, few SKUs, AT&T guys that wanted to kick my ass, right? Because back then, we were the alternate channel. He's cracking up. He's like, yeah, I tried to fight you one time at Flanagan's, right? Because they wanted us out of their accounts. We were castaways, sort of this odd group of folks. But a lot's happened since the 1990s, right? We went from being outcasts, and we're infiltrating these accounts for whatever services. Could have been basic telephony, could have been networking. That was all controlled by the bells. To where we are today, where there's the rise of the technology advisor, right? There's channel harmony, sell for, sell with. We're all working together. It doesn't mean it's gotten easier. In fact, it's gotten a lot more complicated. Not my diagram, Gartner's diagram. Leave it to them to make it so clear, right? This is a sales process, but also a buying process. I cleaned it up a little bit and just made it this. It's kind of like the adult version of Chutes and Ladder. If you're in this business, if you're a distributor, if you're selling to customers, it's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. There's more people at the buyer's table than ever before. They're confused. They're a little bit like lost souls. And it's your job to provide the guidance to them. Our research shows, and I'll give you a link. You guys can take pictures of this, but I'll give you a link at the end. Some of you who are okay scanning QR codes will scan it. You can scan a QR code and get the full Telarus Tech Trends report. But we know that AI is the priority, no duh, right? No duh. But we also know that customers are looking for advisors. They're looking for folks who can be the Sherpa, who can guide them along the path. We know that the AI, while AI is leading the category, it's top of mind in the boardroom. It's top of mind when people sit around the lunch break, or they're on Zooms at the end of a Zoom call. They're trying to figure out how they're going to make it all come together, how they're going to make it converge. So while AI is the big topic, what we see in our practices around the country is talk about all the products and services, not just AI. Because what's happened from when I first started in this business to now is technology is no longer a luxury. It's not something that you buy and you buy more if you have budget for it. It's a necessity. And everybody's involved at the buyer's table now. Everybody has an opinion. HR has a seat at the table. Finance, of course, has a seat at the table. Johnny from store 122 wants a seat at the table. So there's more people involved than ever before. We know from our research, from thousands of advisors across the country and the customers that we research, that the procurement process is also a disaster. It's slower than ever before. We saw a big slowdown in terms of deal flow. Although the deals got done and we had a record year, we saw deals slow down. They were hung up with indecision. And I'll get more into why that was happening. And a lot of it goes back to the leaders just need help. They're stretched for time. They're stretched for money, they're stretched for human resources. So in our opinion, although we feel like we've been saying this for 20-some years, there's never been a better time to be in this room. In fact, Rich and I were backstage talking about when we first started doing this together, the signage was not digital. It was paper signs on the door with Scotch tape, right? And you go see, Graham Scott in room 122. And every year we'd say, gosh, we're so blessed to be in this business. People keep buying the stuff. And now more than ever, it's your perfect time to build a business. When I talk to advisors around the country, and I have a unique perspective at Telarus leading sales, that I get to interact with technology advisors, I get to interact with their customers, suppliers, many of you who are in the room. Some of the best businesses I'm seeing, people are transitioning those businesses to very professional businesses. One advisor said this to me, it's on the slide. He used the word ELF. I want a business that's easy, lucrative, and fun. The kind of business that I can sell even if I don't want to. We know there's a lot of M&A in this space, but we also know that not every advisor wants to sell, but you also don't want to work 100 hours a week anymore. We'll talk a little bit about how we can leverage that. What I see around the country when I sit down at round tables just like these, or we do our educational series, we put spotlights on solutions, we do sales training, marketing training, business training. There's 3 types of personalities in this room. There's quitters. Maybe you're not fully quit, or you wouldn't be here, but you're kind of a quitter. You're not really attacking the market the way you could. There's campers, which is the majority of the market. Campers have a good business, it's running well, they're making good money, they have a nice house, couple cars, they can take their kids on vacation, they can pay for private school, everything's going okay, but nothing's moving them off that campsite, except for inspiration or desperation. Someone starts to attack their customer base, they decide to learn a new skill. They're gonna keep doing the same thing that's been paying the rent for 25 years until someone makes them uncomfortable. Then there's climbers. Climbers just keep climbing. They adapt to change, they overcome obstacles, they invest in their business, they train their staff, right? They keep moving up. I don't know where you are in that journey, but what I see most is lots of talk, no action. I'm gonna give you a few things tonight that you can take away as action, and you can lean into Telarus if you want more. See, a lot of people find themselves in this place. A lot of you are business owners, you raised your hand. You went from having a job as the thing you do right now to owning a business. But you never really formally made it a business. Yeah, you have a website, an LLC, or an S-Corp, but you never really leaned in and systematized it and mechanized it. And that's what we want you to do as you think about the next stage. How can you make it easier? How can you advance and truly take advantage of the shift that's happening in the business? See, Technology Advisor appears 30 million times on the internet. People are searching for you. It's an amazing place to be. Now, there's been a lot of talk about trusted advisor or technology advisor. Trusted advisor is kind of an ambiguous term. My grandma is a trusted advisor when it comes to chocolate chip cookies. Woo, that guy, right? My dad was a trusted advisor when it came to teaching me how to change the oil on a car. But trusted advisor is not a professional. Technology advisor is a defined professional. It's becoming what real estate agent is to real estate, what insurance agent is to insurance. Or if you talk to my 21-year-old daughter, when she asked me exactly what I do for a living and I described it, she goes, oh, it's like a personal shopper for business technology. Not bad. Maybe better than real estate agent. The point is, this train has left the building, and I think you need to get on it. Think about how your website reads. Think about, are you attracting that customer, or do you still have the same messaging that you had many years ago? See, we talked about this, that technology isn't a luxury, but what we didn't really lean into is how freaking overwhelming it is. See, you live in your bubble, and I live in my bubble, but when we go and talk to a customer, this is what they see. They see a placemat full of services and solutions. They feel overwhelmed. They have Johnny from store 144. They have Sharon from HR, and they're all trying to get in the budget. They're trying to get someone to move. So you have to start thinking about that buyer's overwhelm. There's too many options. There's never enough resources. And on top of that, folks, the average person only stays in a job for 28 months. So if things aren't clear, if they're not confident and inspired by you, if they don't believe that you can get them to the promised land, they ain't making a decision because they're not risking their job. They're not risking their promotion on your poor execution. So you have to start thinking a little different. See, the world today and our business is overrun with plumbers. Break-fix guys and gals. People who've been doing it, and they get the call from their customer and they go fix the sink or whatever the IT version of that is, right? They're known for that. They're a specialist. And the specialist gets the call when the specialist is needed, and that's fine. But let me ask you this. If you were building a house, would you call the plumber first? The answer is no. If you were building your dream house, your dream vacation house, you wouldn't call a plumber. You'd call a general contractor. And what we see, by and large, is the people who are making moves in this business are becoming generalists. They're not specialists anymore, but they know how to get the specialist. Just like an architect or general contractor knows how to get the best plumber or the best tiler, they know how to get the best resources to bring into their customer to eliminate the confusion, hassle, and high costs, to consolidate those costs, optimize spend, contain costs, whatever is the voodoo that you do, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for confidence. The best advisors in our community, they know there's only 3 ways to grow their business and 3 ways alone. They have to sell new clients. The hardest thing is to go get new logos. They can sell more to existing clients, upsell, cross-sell, which many are terrified to do, by the way. They don't want to pick up the phone and call a current customer, something we train in one of our sales academies, right? And the last way is raise prices, and that's getting harder and harder to do. So what we find them starting to pivot into is they're general contractors, but they also know how to market. They're really becoming strong marketers. They're in the marketing, sales, and retention business. This is Club Studio. Many of you might be familiar with this gym concept. It's every type of gym under one roof. So think Orange Theory, weightlifting, red sauna, pickleball. They have everything here for someone who's a fitness enthusiast, but they also have stuff that they cut out. So they sort of push some customers away. They focus on their ideal client at Club Studio, just like you should focus on your ideal client. This actually came, we do a marketing clinic around the country. This is one person's, I shortened it up for this slide, but it said, I'm focused on owner-operated businesses, because they can get to the decision maker, with less than 100 employees located within a 2-hour drive. I'll give you another sample of something like this that came out of one of our workshops. But our best advisors have extreme focus. We put them through a workshop. You guys can take a picture of this. This is how they identify their best buyer. My ideal client is type of business operating in a geography. They typically have been in business for a certain amount of time, some number of years. They're owner-operated, could be public, could be owned by private equity. They have less than, more than a certain number of employees. Today, they do or do not have an IT staff. Their business has fallen behind or their business is keeping up. They get really laser-focused on what they want, and they attract that. Kind of like Hermes, right? Attracts wealthy folks, not bargain shoppers. If I go back to the Club Studio slide, I'll tell you what they do attract. They attract fitness enthusiasts. But you know what they don't attract? Families. Because there's no kids allowed. And I thought that was pretty cool. Now you can think less of me for that. I had kids, I belonged to Lifetime for many, many years. But if I just wanted to go and get a workout in, play a pickup basketball game, and not worry about showing up to the club and having it rented out for a birthday party, Club Studio became my choice. So they zeroed in on the perfect buyer or the perfect customer. They knew that some families were spending money at all types of different concepts. An Orange Theory, a boxing gym, yoga, Pilates. Well, guess what? They have all that under one roof at Club Studio. So they got very focused and they got rid of what they didn't want. Our best advisors are also doing marketing a very, very different way. A lot of you, I look at your websites and I see the same exact website over and over and over again. When I look at your marketing, I see the same things over and over and over again. In fact, take the black and white challenge, and when you walk through the exhibit hall, in your mind, make every booth black and white. What is every booth? There's something that will be on every booth when you go walk the hall. What's going to be on every booth? AI, right? There's no differentiation. There's no way to know who's who if you make them all black and white, strip the logos off. Your marketing has to get your perfect prospect's attention. It has to differentiate your business, it has to teach them how to make decisions, lead them down a path, lower the risk, and stay present until they're ready to buy. Now, you've seen this a million times. In fact, when I say this, you'll start to think about ads that maybe you've seen and you responded to. Maybe it was replacement windows for your house, right? Where you watched some how-to videos, you did some consumer research, the Pella taught you how to buy their product, or Anderson taught you how to buy their product, and then you did. Maybe it was a local car dealership that ran commercials, maybe sent you some direct mail. They taught you how to buy, how to negotiate the lease, and they brought you in. The best advisors in our community are building great YouTube channels. They're teaching people how to buy business technology. And guess what? Just like you don't call the painter that you watch the YouTube video because you're lazy and you don't really want to paint, they're gonna call you if you do this kind of marketing. If your marketing is designed to get your ideal client to know, like, trust, and recommend you, you're gonna get all those things. Instead, a lot of your websites and your marketing materials look just like everybody else's. Recommend is really an important word on here because when I tour around the country with my team, we have people do a show of hands on how they get their business. Most business comes from referrals and recommendations, but when we peel back the onion, you don't have a system to do that. You haven't built a referral engine. You don't know how to ask for a referral. You don't have a referral reward system. So maybe one action item you take out of here, if your business is built off referrals, is do some research or even come to one of our events and learn how to build that referral engine to get that flywheel spinning. The other problem you have right now, we all have, is that most web pages are being built with AI. If you've heard the term AI slop, say yes. One guy. If you've heard the term AI slop, say yes. More people, right? It's obnoxious, right? Everybody's starting to sound like everybody. They're using ChatGPT and Claude. Pretty soon I sound like you sound like me. There's no differentiation. So you're gonna have to create your own voice. You're gonna have to learn how to stand out in the crowd. Seth Godin wrote a book called The Purple Cow. I'll save you the time of reading it. It's just about standing out in the crowd, being authentic. Your personality is gonna start to pay off if you use it or get someone on your team to use it. But if everybody sounds like chat, then nobody stands out in a crowd. So you're gonna have to be authentic to be the first call for your thing. You're gonna have to talk to your customers in their language. So a lot of times I read your websites, or I do a website audit as part of one of our marketing clinics, and all it is we. We do this, we do that, we do this. You guys are weing all over yourselves, right? It's too much we. It's not enough about them. They tell you the marketing materials and the words to use in every single appointment that you have with them. They talk about their struggles, they talk about their fears, they talk about the things they want to overcome. That's your website. Your website has to overcome their fear. Your website has to build confidence in what you do. It can't just be about you. And you founded the company in 1991, blah, 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 right? You can't do that. You have to use stories. Remember, facts tell and stories sell. Stories will become your most powerful weapon. This slide, I don't have the time to tell the whole story. I'll tell you the 30-second version. About 8 years ago, I walked into a big company, a Fortune 50 company, filled with cubes, very antiquated. I was shocked at what I saw. It was absolute chaos. Piles of paper still on desks. The team, when we got in the meeting, said, this team is stressed out. I call this team the Get It and Pay It squad. All they do is get the bills in, pay them as fast as they can so we don't get shut off. We need help. We're over budget and we're understaffed. And so we put a program together, but I used those words later in all of our marketing. Under budget, or over budget, understaffed. Get It and Pay It squad. If you're surrounded by paper. Now, that wasn't gonna appeal to somebody who had a fully automated system that already had consolidated invoices, was optimized on a single provider or two. That wasn't gonna appeal to them, but it did appeal to all the people who were a shit show. They raised their hands and came running to us so we could help them out. Remember when you use pictures, the picture should be worth how many words? 1,000 words, right? So the picture of you and your Labrador Retriever on a billboard is not helping anybody, right? And I see plenty of that stuff. I get it. Your lab's nice. Your kids are great. Family-owned business, that's important. But your customers care about what happens if their building burns down. They care about the lines at the holidays when they can't swipe a credit card and things don't move fast enough. So if you're going to use pictures in your marketing, make sure they're worth 1,000 words. You need to think like a lawyer. We teach 5 personalities. I'm not going to talk about all of them, but you need to think like a lawyer. Evidence disproves disbelief. All of your marketing, a lot of your content needs to build confidence as if you are presenting in front of a jury of your peers. How would you walk in and prove to the buyer's table, to a boardroom, that you're the choice beyond a reasonable doubt, right? So how do you simplify every step? Maybe you have some of these materials as a bit of a checklist for you, right? Maybe you're holding events. Maybe you have a beautiful proposal that's fully descriptive, that walks through a project management plan of exactly how, step by step, you will implement the business technology of their dreams. Most of you probably don't have that, because when we check in, what we see is kind of shoddy proposals, right? A few things stuffed in a folder, or some email sent and says, please see a quote attached, right? So a thoughtful proposal. Creating user groups. There's an advisor on the West Coast that's created an AI user group, and he's getting customers from his AI user group because he's the AI expert, and he can sell the AI technology. It works together. Podcasts. One of our top advisors in our ecosystem sold just over $1 million this year in MRR. $1 million in MRR. He runs a podcast where he interviews CIOs in the healthcare space. He gives them a free video to highlight their expertise, talks about how they digitally transform or they overcome challenge, they adapt to new technology. It highlights them as a professional. It's kind of a resumeable thing to be on his podcast. I'm not going to say the name, but here's the cool thing. Guess what they all say at the end of the podcast? How can I help you? Because he does it for free. So if you play the long game and you fast forward, after about 2 years, all of a sudden, these healthcare systems start to close, one after another, after another, after another, all because of a podcast about disrupting technology inside a healthcare system. All right? Know that the buying window is open and closed. You have to stick with your prospects. What I see often is people sort of try to get in a vertical and then they bounce to another vertical. So they try healthcare, it doesn't work. They try higher ed, it doesn't work. They try automotive, it doesn't work. They don't stick in anything for very long. You have to, if you're going to become the known thing, you got to stick in it. Build a target 100. There's a book called The Ultimate Sales Machine. Chet Holmes made the Target 100 famous globally with that saying, but it's 100 prospects that are going to buy from you or you're going to die trying. Now, you can have other peripheral prospecting activity, but if you have this Target 100 and you're there when the opportunity happens, change of control, breach, outage, something happens, and they remember you because you're appealing to a wider audience, not just one guy, the one IT guy. There's 4 or 5 people that come into a meeting, they're freaking out, and they're like, what about Sean? He's been prospecting us for 18 months, right? Or we have all this stuff. I think he's the guy. I see it all the time. Something just happens. It clicks. It makes things happen. Remember, the decision makers today are not in a silo. They're navigating all sorts of things. They're navigating other decision makers around the company, maybe in different business units. They're navigating the influencers, right? Naysayers. There's political risk. There's financial risk. You have to make them feel confident. You have to stand out. I told you this is going to be kind of a wandering presentation, a little bit more about marketing than anything, but this is a money slot. These are personal attention anchors. I preach this all the time, and this is my favorite thing to get back from you, is when I hear you have a breakthrough with handwritten notes, direct mail, you put together thoughtful information like the Telarus Tech Trends report, you create personal touch points where when you're in a neighborhood or an area or you're traveling around the country, you just send a note and say, hey, I'm going to be in New York, or I'm going to be in city name. I'd like to stop by and drop some stuff off for you. These little touch points make you stand out in a crowd, especially if you work a metro market. You can do it better than anybody else. If you think about it, real quick, I'm going to go back. Think about your inbox, hundreds of emails a day, spam, notifications, it never frickin' stops. You never get a thoughtful handwritten note. And when you do, you remember exactly who it is. When you do get a book from somebody, maybe it's a book about AI, and you put a handwritten note in it, you're gonna stand out in the crowd. So just think about ways to use that for yourself. All right, I'm going the wrong way here. Here we go. All right, look, even with all the limits they have to mitigate risk, enhance quality, maximize margin, control expenses, boost productivity, and improve the overall experience. At the same time, they're thinking about one thing most of the time, WIIFM, WIFM, what's in it for them, what's in it for me radio, right? So you have to make them feel very, very confident. Remember, you're gonna be the hero of this whole thing, right? You have to be the #1 resource for identifying, selecting, negotiating, implementing business technology services. People have taken pictures of this slide, put it on their website, put it in their marketing materials. It opens up more neural pathways than being an MSP or being a technology consultant. One thing we know from our research and looking at the research around the country is MSPs and technology advisors, while they feel like they're in the right place at the right time, what they're not capable of right now in many ways is scaling, because the same limits that impact your clients, time, money, and human resources, impact you. So we know what got you to wherever you are today will not get you to the next level. Maybe you have a strong strategy. And we teach in our business mastery course how to create a business strategy and execute on it, how to become the established company name in a market, to win your unfair share of that market. We talk about how you start to franchise your business, even if you're not going to franchise it, how you can put replicatable systems in place to scale and grow. All technology advisors should be a little bit similar to a franchise. Is it repeatable? Is your source of supply becoming a little bit narrower but offering you more variety? You see, this is a 30-year slide. I told you 32 years. They told me I had 2 minutes and 34 seconds left. So I put all this on one slide. Are you guys ready for the big finish? I'm gonna go fast. This is a 30-year slide. You can take a picture of it. It'll help you with all your clients. Here's what's going on in everybody's head that you talk to. They have current projects on their table, right? They have things they have to get to. They have problems that are stressing them out and keeping them up at night. They have opportunities that they want to get to. Maybe it's AI. They all have the same 3 limitations, same as you, by the way: time, money, and people. And all of them, all of you, in whatever you buy, you need 3 things. Absolute clarity. Yes, I want the Tesla. Yes, I want that engagement ring. Yes, I want this new phone. Absolute clarity on what it is. How do you get clarity? Through a lot of the things we talked about. Someone differentiates themselves. They give you the right marketing materials. They stand out in a crowd. They give you a feature advantage benefit that you can relate to, that you see how you can get real ROI. They reduce all the friction in the process. They have a guarantee, a warranty, some type of customer care program that keeps you coming back, right? They inspire confidence, so you tell your friends or you tell the people that you work with to take the next step with them, and you do. Maybe you're like other audiences that we talk to, and you find yourself at a place, and the reason you're here is because you're thinking there must be a better way. Maybe I came to IT Expo this year and I'm gonna unlock a new path to get to a whole nother level in my business. Maybe I'll meet someone who can help me with that. Well, we believe we're the company. Whether you're a soloist or a fully scaled business, whether you're re-emerging, you're coming back and you're fired up, maybe you're a camper, but you see people hedging in, driving a wedge into some of your clients. They're selling them new services, and they're like, how the hell did that guy get in here? I've been in this customer for 20 years. It's a story we hear all the time, right? Maybe you need a new advantage. We see the friction that holds technology advisors and MSPs back. It's the cost of doing business. It's training. It's supplier negotiation. It's commissions. It's billing. It's collections. It's all the things. It weighs up and it slows you down. If you want to open more pathways, you can do that. Expanding advisors with Telarus achieve more of a status with their customers. They're more of a strategic partner. They get a seat at the boardroom table. They're beating consultants at every level. Our number 1 technology advisor in 2025 is a solopreneur and booked $2.5 million in MRR. $2.5 million in MRR as a solopreneur, no employees. Beat IBM Global Services because they leaned into the services and solutions and tools that are at Telarus. So you can transfer that knowledge and everything you have as an MSP, as a legacy technology advisor, you can lean into what we have and grow your business exponentially in a whole new way. You can grab the Tech Trends report for sure if you want that, if you're comfortable scanning that QR code. If not, that's okay. You can swing by our booth and hang out with us. We have the right resources at the right time for you. Whether it's project management to manage your most complex projects, account management to call into that customer base and do some upsell, cross-sell for you, take that revenue up, protect those clients for you, rewards and recognition in the most popular technology advisor community in the globe, we're here for you. And of course, Telarus Capital, our premier financing arm that helps our technology advisors finance their most ambitious goals, whether it's personal or professional. At the end of the day, we know that you guys need 3 things. You need more opportunities top of funnel, you have to convert those opportunities to more wins, and you need to grow profitably with peace of mind. Our team at Telarus is here for you. Please visit us on the Expo Hall floor. If you found any of this information valuable tonight, I want to encourage you, become part of our community. There's lots of training from experts around the country that can help you with sales, marketing, business, technology, whatever it is to help your business get to a whole new level. We think you'll be better with Telarus. Thanks, that's my time.